Hello, AP Environmental Science. The purpose of this video is just to give you a heads up on what my expectations are for reading notes. Before I get into that, let me give you kind of the philosophy I had last year, which actually was the summer before last year, when I knew that we were having a new book. I think it is important to teach everything that's in the book. There are a few sections that are a little less important, but it's a fantastic book, and it was my goal to cover the entire thing. So, obviously, if I lecture on the entire chapter, that's going to leave very little time for movies and labs and stuff like that. So, what I decided to do was split the chapters. I will lecture on some. That is all this stuff, and all of my PowerPoints reflect the content that is in those questions, and then you will take notes on the rest. Okay, so the biggest mistake that you can make is getting confused and actually doing your reading notes on this. Class notes, mine. That's what I'm doing. Yours. So what I would do if I were you is I would take this handout and just put a big X. It's a front and back handout. Put a big X to the left side just to remind you that that's not what you're responsible for. You're responsible for the stuff that's on the right. Pages written. So 7 pages is 3.5 front and back. Okay, 3.5 front and back. Now, if you're doing a Google Doc, obviously it's just 7, but if you're doing them by hand and you have normal sized handwriting, it's going to be 3.5 front and back. Speaking of handwriting, if you plan on handwriting your notes, I would, if I were you, give me a handwriting sample. There's already an assignment out in Google Classroom that asks you just to write a paragraph about what you did this summer. So assuming that's the approximate size of your handwriting that you always write in, I can tell you what the page equivalent will be. Okay. Let's see, down on the bottom of this document, if your handwriting is smaller than normal, if I give you 6, 4.5, if I give you 7, 5.5, if I give you 8, 6, if I give you 9, 6.5, et cetera, et cetera. If you have larger than normal handwriting, it's going to be more. So if I give you 6, I'm looking for 7. 7 is 8. 8 is 9.5, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm not sure that it actually says 7 is 8 because it's behind my video cam here. So we will do all 20 chapters. Oh, also there, I forgot to update the information. So what I would do is I would go to your back page. The AP test is actually on the 2nd. It's the Tuesday of the first week of AP testing. And I'm pretty sure spring break is in April. So I would like to have 4 weeks, 4 weeks to review. Meaning we would take our last unit test on the 21st of March. That is the goal, and that will give us a solid 4 weeks. You're going to do 3 multiple choice portions of the test. You're going to have to do test corrections. So you'll write down all the questions that you missed and all the answers, and you get to work together on those. And additionally, you will have to choose 9 free response questions of your choice. Answer the question, score it. I would, of course, give you an opportunity to write down things that you missed on it. And I think there are a few more things I can't remember off the top of my head. Anyway, let's get to the video about how to do reading notes. If I'm not mistaken, you'll be watching this video on the Monday, the 15th. I believe that's when I'm assigning Chapter 1. Of course, the sub will have those instructions. So except for just a few chapters, you're doing the case study. Those are actual real-life examples of the content, and you will be able to, just one chapter. I think Chapter 9 is the only one where I lecture on the case study. So you're going to be doing the case study, and here's your textbook. All right, so there's your case study, and that's, of course, on page 4. But then you're going to hop ahead to, I beg your pardon, you're going to hop ahead to section 1-3. Okay. So please get in the habit of, as soon as you're done with the case study, hopping to the next section. The best way possible to avoid making mistakes is if you're typing your notes, actually type what these sections are, so you can always go back to the very, very top and go, oh, next section is 1-3. 1-3 happens to start on page 14. All right. So you're going to start taking notes where it says, why do we have environmental problems? Humans, for the most part. You're going to do 1-3, you're going to do 1-4, and you're going to do 1-5. The math connection, you can totally summarize that. Math connections on page 16. So basically, I would just, kind of write down what the gist of it, what the givens are, and actually walk through those calculations. And then CCIS stands for Core Concepts in Sustainability. So there's one on page 19 and then another one on page 22. By the way, if you are typing your document and you get to 7 pages and you didn't get to the last core concepts in sustainability, of course, I would encourage you to take notes on the entire thing. But if you've already got 7 and you don't want to, spend any more time doing your notes, at least read that, because that is content I'm not going to be lecturing on. Okay. So, and same goes for any of the sections. If you finish early, at least just read the rest of it. Or if you have time, I learn best by actually doing the process of taking notes. So if you're doing it by hand, you can do your class notes are in my format. Class notes are always in Cornell note format. They're numbered. Questions on the left, answers are on the right. Reading notes, you can do them in any format you want. If you choose to type your notes, whenever I sign these in Google Classroom, I will include both of these Google Docs. Let's see. Here's the one that's in outline form. So you're just going to put the chapter 1. And again, I would actually type exactly what sections you're going to be taking your notes on. Okay. Notice this is Arial size 14. Do not adjust that font style size. And also format, I forget exactly where it is, line and paragraph spacing, you are at 1.15. I see a lot of students change that to a 1.5 or a 2, and it really spreads things out a whole lot. That's not cool. If you're going to type your notes, you're going to type them this format. This format and this spacing resembles normal sized handwriting. It's all about the product and how much effort you put into the note-taking process. So if you're going to type your notes, please do them using these documents and do not modify the formatting, because if you do, what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to change it back and find out how many pages you're at, and that may or may not affect your point value. And if it happens more than once, I'm just going to get annoyed and I'm going to give you a 0, and I'm going to make you go back and reformat it and resubmit it, so I can find out how many pages are there. So just please leave it alone. So this is just like outline form, or some kids do bullets. Not the most organized way of taking notes, but it is what it is. You can do whatever format you want. I would recommend that you do them in Cornell note format. Okay. And also, if you're handwriting your notes and you happen to do them in Cornell, I always would appreciate the line not right down the middle. I'm looking for about 1/3, 2/3. I've had kids draw their line way over here on the right. Of course, meaning that is going to spread your notes out further down and give you actually more pages. This should be where the bulk of your writing takes place. Therefore, I want it about 1/3 and 2/3. I'll accept half, okay, but not more than half. Otherwise, if you write 6 pages, I'm going to call it 5, or I'm going to call it 4.5. Notes aren't worth a ton of points. It's basically about a half a point per page. So if you don't give me a handwriting sample and I'm looking for 7 pages, and you have normal sized handwriting, maybe you think it's small and you give me 6. Worst case, you're going to get a 2.5 out of 3. After the first couple chapters, you'll kind of get used to how I approach that. Also, please do not make the mistake. How do I make this go away? Do not make the mistake of using past chapters notes for current chapters notes. I've seen all sorts of shortcuts. Let me just give you an example of what I am looking at while I'm reviewing your notes. So this is chapter 1. So I actually went through all of your sections and I kind of just summarized all the different topics of what you should be writing about. So as I'm scanning your notes, I'm looking for this type of information. And if not, it makes me wonder where you're doing. Biggest mistake students make is they're actually just doing my section, what's being lectured on. But I've had many students try to use past notes for current notes, and that's just not fair. Okay, so again, back to this. You'll just put the chapter right here. Okay, I would recommend again typing all of the sections. You'll notice it's Arial, it's 14, same deal, 1.15 spacing. Please leave that formatting alone. Notes typically are going to be due, well, they're all going to be turned into, reading notes are all going to be turned into Google Classroom, and they'll have a midnight due date. Usually we're doing about a chapter per week. So if I'm assigning them on a Monday, they're going to be due Sunday night at midnight. Notes, writing 7 pages of notes, that's a lengthy process. What I would really encourage you guys to do is take a little bit each night. If you got 7 days to do 7 pages, do a page a night. Because what happens is, you get into Sunday afternoon, and that's, typically family time. I don't want you burning 3 hours doing your notes on a Sunday instead of hanging out with your family and hanging out with your friends. I'd like you finishing them up by doing, 15 or 20 minutes of notes, finishing up that last page. So please do a little bit each night. Also, again, if you are handwriting your notes, please give me a handwriting sample. I've already seen a couple of them, and I'm just simply telling you what your size handwriting is, and I'm telling you the actual page equivalent. So basically, I'm using the information that's at the bottom of this document to tell you. And what I would recommend is that you just write that down somewhere, keep it somewhere, or actually keep this in the front of your binder and highlight it, saying, "This is me." So when he assigns 8 pages, I only have to write 6. And again, 6 would be front and back. All right, y'all. Hope that answers any of your questions. Again, I miss seeing you guys. I can't wait to be there. Should be back on the 25th. I'm very accessible via email. I'm pretty much just sitting around and rehabbing the hip and doing some PT exercises and twiddling my thumbs. So I got nothing better to do than answer the questions that you may have. Anyway, I will see you when I see you.